Let's explore the results in eFlow Projector. Let's sign into the app and let's explore a scenario here where we're looking at here is the seasonal water requirements in Victoria for the flow rules or flow requirements for 2019-20. Let's just have a bit of a look at what this scenario looks like. So we've got 4 different regions here, and then in each of those regions a whole bunch of different catchments, and then within those we've got different sites, and then within those sites there's a whole collection of flow rules. I think there's about 170 odd different flow rules in here. Let's just grab one of those. We can see they're reporting at different tier levels as well. Okay, so that's awesome. I've already run this scenario, so I can have a look in the scenario library, click the explore button, or I can go directly to explore results. It'll take us to the same place. So I hit the explore button and we're looking at that particular scenario. So this is what the results looks like. So we've got at the top level here, we've got the scenario that we're looking at. So we've just got one scenario available in this sort of demo system center, and we've got the different reporting tiers that we want to visualize. So I'm showing all, and it'll show all by default. We can view the single year, so 2021. We can have a look at the 2019-20, which is what these environmental flow requirements were designed for. And we can have a look at the multi-year. We'll get to that in a moment. So what we've got here is a collection of our freshers flow rules and our low flow rules. So the summary here, so this is our overall score for the freshers, and the summary for the low flow. This is the overall summary for the low flow. So effectively the way the computation and reporting works for the flow rules is the different flow components, magnitude, duration, count and independence, are multiplied together to give a summary score, and then to aggregate up to these different spatial units, we average across all the different subcomponents or the different flow rules within those components. So let's explore this a bit further. So first of all, we're looking at the central region. Our overall magnitude score was 56%, and you can see there from the tooltip there's a 49 in there. So that's based on 49 flow rules, freshers type flow rules applied in the central region. So you'll see 49 applies for the duration, count and independence as well. So overall, where we're falling down in the central region for our freshers is we're not hitting the magnitude that we would otherwise want. Not doing too bad in the duration and the independence scores. So similarly in the northern region, and then in the western region, this is out the Wimmera Glenelg, is falling a bit shorter as well on the overall magnitude. So we can expand that out to not just get the overall central score, but the score for each catchment. So in the Yarra catchment, the magnitude is doing great for that year. In the Maribyrnong, not so good. Let's explore that a bit further. So I can expand out the Maribyrnong, and we've got one reporting reach, Jackson Creek Reach 7 in the Maribyrnong. So I can expand that out further to the point where I can see each individual flow rule. So we've got an overbank flow rule, a big fat 0 on that one. Freshers, similarly. We have a low flow rule here, so the magnitude component, not so great. The duration was alright, but overall, when you multiply those together, the score is overall 6. So similarly here, when we look at this summer, autumn, freshers rule, 5% on the magnitude, pretty good on the duration, count mediocre, and the independence was fine. But when we multiply each of these components together to get the overall score, we get an overall performance score of 1 out of 100 for that particular flow rule. So you can do that for any one of these: region, catchment, and site, then each of the flow rules represented there. So there's a fairly rich way to explore each of these different configurations of flow rules. So that's for 1 year. We might look at the previous year. How does that look? So we can have a look at that one. Previous year, if we had applied those same flow rules. So that's neat, year by year. But what about the, well, actually, before I go to the multi-year, let's have a look at the different reporting years. So that's everything included here. What if we just look at what we might call level 1, so the critical things that we want to achieve. I'll shrink these back down so it's summarized. So if we're looking at that single tier of level 1, actually things are looking pretty good. If we look at level 2, so the things that we'd also like to achieve, not too bad. Level 3, and then it's once we get to the level 4, including this effectively high flow over bank type rules, that things really drop off. So let's have a look at the multi-year story. So we've got a long flow record in here, so from back to 1957, but it doesn't go back to 57 for everywhere. So you see some of these, we've got some zeros to start with because we don't have any flow data that long in those sites. So what we're seeing in this time series chart, as I mouse over there, we've got the overall summary freshers and the low flow score. So that's up here, the summary freshers in orange and the low flow in blue. That's cool. Although we might just be concerned about the freshers component of the world. So let's turn off the summary for the low flow and let's look at the magnitude component of the freshers, because that's often the one that doesn't perform so well. And we can have a look at that. In fact, we can split that out now. For the central region, we can look at the catchments, we can look at the subcatchments. Oh, this is down to a site level. We've got no data for Moorabool over that stretch of time. Let's see if we've got some here for the Werribee Reach 8. So we're getting down here to our freshers. So let's go back up, close these things up, and let's add our low flows back on, turn that magnitude component on. So now we're just concerned with just the overall value of the freshers and low flows. And let's have a look at our Gippsland region, the Latrobe River, have a look at Reach 5. So we're missing a lot of flow back in these early days. Base flow, summer, autumn freshers. So you get the full temporal story of what's going on for each of those flow requirements, right down to each individual flow rule, or summarized up to the site level, summarized up to the catchment level, and then summarized up right up here to the overall region level. And we can do the same as we did before to go back, and let's look at just level 1 first. So this is the most critical flow rules we want to achieve, and have a look at that through the different regions. What if we add level 2? The overall summary changes a bit there. Level 3, some change, not too much. Then we get level 4 in here, so these are kind of the very opportunistic high flow events, overbank of events. Things typically drop off when you get to that stage. Let's have a look at the magnitude of the freshest component. In fact, if we just look at level 4, and if we turn off low flow and just look at the magnitude component, we can see how things are tracking. And let's have a look at those western systems. Let's have a look at the Wimmera through time. So we're just looking at the overall freshers rules in, so you can see the brackets here. There's 4 at the end, so there's 4 different flow rules at Upper Burnt Creek. In fact, I can expand that out and show you what they are. So we can delve into these in a bit more detail and see which ones are performing well and which ones not so much. So that's a quick overview of the Explore results functionality in eFlow Projector.